The Tanfoglio GT-27 25 ACP. Let's check it out. Tanfoglio is an Italian company that's been in business since the 1940s, right after World War II. And these guys are still in business today, but there were a lot of small pistols that they designed that are no longer being produced. One of the big things that Tanfoglio is known for is its CZ variant. And it has been a real popular CZ design, especially early years before we could actually get the CZ. This is the GT-27, and it's a small little pocket pistol. They made it in, this one is in 25 ACP. They also made 22, 380, 32 ACP in different models, based kind of roughly on the Beretta, and for good reason, is because it is in the same town that Beretta was founded. Now, first thing we're going to do before we get into that is to go ahead and check, make sure the gun is unloaded, release the magazine, check the chamber, and it is. Now, first thing you're going to notice is this open slide area. Very similar to the Beretta 950. This is the 950 here. This is one of the best 25 automatics that I know of, maybe beside the Model 21 that's also manufactured by Beretta, or was made by Beretta. These are just excellent little small pocket pistols. They function well, and I've had this one for a number of years. So the barrel being exposed, really that's where it separates. The Beretta does have the tip-up feature, which makes it really nice to load and unload. And that's really one of the things these guns were known for. And so the GT-27 has more of just your standard load by pulling the slide back, which you can do also with the 950. Of course, you can see that it does bring the hammer back. This is a single action pistol, just like the 950. And that means that with the hammer back, you can pull the trigger and it'll fire. Without the hammer being pulled back, there's no action to the hammer. So for the first shot, you've got to pull the hammer back to fire it. And one of the things I really want to warn you about with these is excessive dry firing causes the firing pin to malfunction. It can cause it to mushroom out and cause problems. So I try not to dry fire this too much. Now, the GT-27 was actually designed in 1962 and was in production up until 1968, which was the National Firearms Act here in the United States, which limited imports of small pistols. It got it down to a certain specification, and if it didn't meet those specifications, they were no longer to be imported. But the great thing about Tanfoglio is that they started importing their parts into the United States, and then they were assembled in Florida. Now, the original GT-27s had a steel frame, and one of the downsides of having these imported, the parts imported into the US, was the frames had to be made here, and instead of them continuing with the steel frame, they ended up going with a Zamac frame, which is a zinc aluminum alloy. Now, this one has a steel slide and a lot of other metal steel parts. But now all the parts other than the frame were made in Italy, and they're steel, very nice. I mean, the slide is very well done. You know, it has a nice little hammer with serrations. Some of the later models that came in had a commander hammer. This was particularly imported by Excam, which Excam were the first ones to import them. It was down in Hialeah, Florida. And after that, FIE began to import these. I believe it was the FIE Titan. You know, as far as the features of the gun, it does have slick front and back strap. The grips are just a plastic grip. They did have models that came in a wood grip and in kind of a mother of pearl-esque and in a white grip. These are, of course, this one is in the blued version or black. They did make a nickel version, and from what I read, they even made a gold version with a rose in the grip, made kind of particularly for ladies. The magazine capacity is 7 rounds plus 1 in the chamber. They are all steel and very slick little magazines. One thing is, a lot of people will say, especially on the forums, is that if you're having feeding issues, it's typically the magazine, and you can, form it a little bit. These are still pretty much available, but they're around $30 a piece from what I've seen. It does have the magazine release at the bottom right here, which is, standard European. It does have nice little serrations where you can just bring it and it pops it right out. It does not have a magazine disconnect, which obviously I like. The safety is right here, and as you can see when it shows, this is fire. Bring this around and it's on safe. The trigger is just a solid metal piece. The safety actually blocks the trigger, and if you'll notice right here with the recoil guide rod, it actually locks that out. So it's in a safe mode. You do have a half cock right here, and that does lock down no matter where you have your safety, and then of course with full cock. It does have a fixed barrel design, and we're going to look at that when we break the pistol down. The barrel is fixed to the frame, which really lends to accuracy. Not bad accuracy at 7 yards, and the sights are pretty minimal, so I was really pleased. Of course, the fixed barrel design is definitely something that will help with accuracy. Plus, this gun is made for up close and personal. The sights on the pistol, just a little blade front with a little notch in the back, but really it's not too bad to pick up. They need to be low snag, and that makes it really easy for concealability. There's no last round hold open. It just goes forward with the blowback design, which is typical for these size pistols. The open barrel design keeps anything from getting caught on the top of the slide, and so this just makes it a little bit easier, a little bit more reliable. The GT-27 functioned pretty much flawlessly. I had a couple of primers that didn't go off, and once I went and shot them again, they did. I definitely relate that to the ammunition because it was a good solid primer strike, but no ejection problems, no feeding issues at all. And of course with the open design, and that's the reason Beretta originally made that design, it was a very reliable way to shoot, and there was nothing to hang up on your rounds. 25 ACP is a little more expensive than some of your ammo, just because it's not as in high demand. You typically look to buy a box for about $18, $19. One of the great things about this pistol is it fed everything I put in it. One of the big ones was this Hansen 25, and I don't think this is even imported any longer. I've had this for a number of years. The CCI Blazer, these are old CCI Blazers with the aluminum cases, and they function excellently. I mean, they just fed like crazy. I had some CCI Blazers, the aluminum case stuff. I'm just going to see if it'll work in this pistol. I was really surprised about the accuracy. It was shooting really well, and it was only 7 yards, but that's really what this gun is made for, is a pocket pistol to be used in real close personal defense or last-ditch effort. And so, and again, guys, I don't really recommend this as a self-defense gun, but I know there's a ton of them out there, and I know that people will use these or rely on these for self-defense. Just make sure you get some decent ammunition and make sure you train. Here is the 25 caliber right here. It is an original John Browning design 25 ACP automatic Colt pistol. We have the 32 ACP and the 380 ACP. Your 22 rimfire is here on the side, and then here is your 9mm parabellum. Really for self-defense, the 22, the 25, the 32 is getting a little closer, but really until you get to the 380, this is really the lowest recommended from the experts for a self-defense round. Now, to disassemble the pistol, it's really simple. Of course, you remove your magazine, double check to make sure the gun is unloaded, and it is. First thing I want to do is to go ahead and take our safety and move it all the way over into the safe position. And then when you pull your slide, just lift up the back, and then it pulls right off. I mean, it's a really simple disassembly. here we have the parts, your recoil spring with your guide rod, and we have this cup here that actually fits down in a hole inside the frame, if you can see it right there. And the barrel again is fixed barrel, very nicely done. Of course, this is to an aluminum alloy frame. Your safety, once you break it down, and you need to be careful not to move this around too much because your safety comes out. One of the things I heard one guy talking about is that out of all the parts, the safety is the most difficult to find as far as a replacement part. So you want to be sure to, make sure, especially since you know that's going to come flying out. But the machining, especially on the slide, is well done. I mean, the nice bluing has a flat spot on top. It's just, again, it really reminds me a lot of the 950 as far as the quality. The frame is not so great just because of the zinc alloy Zamac alloy frame. But the finish on it's not too good. I can't really tell if they've tried to clean it up or something, but it just wasn't very impressive. But as far as the functioning of the gun, it functioned very well and it shot very well. So that's pretty much all you need to do to break it down. Now, if you're going to reassemble, make sure that it's on safe. Place in your guide rod. Make sure you get that guide rod in your slide like this, and then bring it back and lower it down. I mean, it is a very simple design. The pistol weighs 11.8 ounces. It's 4.5 inches in length. It's 3.25 inches in height. And it's about 3/4 of an inch in width. I mean, it is super thin. And really, the recoil on this is so light that it can be a small little pistol. Now, Tanfoglio imported these up until 1990. And that's when FIE went out of business. Once that happened, they just no longer imported these and no one was making them. Now, Tanfoglio is still in business making a number of really nice CZ75 variants. They produce about 90,000 pistols a year, and 85% of those are imported. This company has a very strong tradition in Italy and around the world. But of course, during this time, they were producing these small, inexpensive pistols, and you get what you pay for. I mean, these are typically, when they were coming into the country, were running around $35 up to about $55. And so, they were very inexpensive, even in the 70s, and then, of course, sold all the way up until 1990. The value of these typically is, if you get one in really great shape, they can run up to about $200. But most that you're seeing out there are around the $100 to $150 range. I bought this on Gunbroker. I paid $100 for it. And honestly, I felt like I got a really good deal for the size. I really would have probably, I would value this at probably about $150. And typically, it's real easy to sell these small pistols, even if you don't like them, because the market's really great for these. Now, small little 25 ACPs are a lot of fun to shoot because the recoil is just so light. And it's just easy to get on target because you're not anticipating a lot of recoil. Especially for ladies or people with weak hand strength, it just makes it kind of nice. And that's one of the reasons why traditionally people have carried these small guns. One of the great things that today has done with the technology is we're getting really small 380s, close to this same size. The recoil is going to be significant more than what this is, but it is definitely for concealability a giant plus. One thing to really consider about depending your life on something this small, which again I definitely recommend not to, is that you are less likely to stop an attacker, especially one that is on some kind of medication or drugs or even drinking for that matter. So fight and then flight is really the rule when it comes to 25 ACP. The Tanfoglio GT-27, thumbs way up. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. One of the downsides of them making them here in the US is they switched to Now, while they both have open barrel design, while they both have the barrel above the while the barrel is okay. The magazines are steel. They are 7. Okay. The magazine capacity. It still has the. Okay. Yes, you can kill them, but it may take 2 or 3 days. So.